Shavua Tov, a good Woch, and welcome to our program. Next week is the day of Yud Daled Iyar Pesach Sheni. We open up the Chumash, and it's in Parshas Beha'aloscha, and we have the story of Pesach Sheni. What happened on Pesach Sheni? It says in the Chumash in Parshas Beha'aloscha, as mentioned before, Vayiyu anoshim, and they were people, asher hoyu tmeim lenefesh odom, v'liyochelu lasis hapesach bayem hahu. They were people who were tomei, and it says that the reason for that, they were tomei, but they took care of Yosef, of Kvulas Yosef, and they could not make the Korban Pesach on the time with everyone. And the people, those people came to Moshe Rabbeinu, and they said, "Anachnu tmeim lenefesh odom." We were tomei. Lomo nigoda. Why should our lot be diminished? Levilti hakri ves kol ben Hashem b'meyadei b'seich b'nei Yisrael. So that we couldn't bring the Korban Pesach together with everyone. Vayimed alei Moshe, and Moshe Rabbeinu said to them, Imdu v'yashmero, just stand by and wait, and I will hear, Mayitzaveh Hashem lochem, what Almighty God is going to tell you, or is going to command you. Vaydaber Hashem al Moshe Rabbeinu immediately, and Rashi immediately says that Moshe Rabbeinu was special. Blessed is a human being that can say, just wait. I will hear what Almighty God is going to tell me about you. And indeed, this happened. Almighty God spoke to Moshe, and he said to him, Dabel ben Israel, speak to the Jewish people and tell them that he's going to be Tomei, is going to be spiritually unclean, and is going to be afar. Lochem means he did it specially. We'll get back to what it means. For now and for all generations. The answer is that he should make the Pesach Sheni the second month. And the Rebbe speaks about it extensively. And he says what the previous Rebbe said, that there's a difference between the first Pesach and the second Pesach. And we will get to that in a moment as well. The main question is, they said, Lomo Nigora. Lomo Nigora is a very, very strong, a very strong complaint. Lomo Nigora. The question here is an obvious one. What are you screaming about? What are you screaming, Lomo Nigora? Almighty God knows what happens. Moshe Rabbeinu knows what happened. You were Tomei, so Yimil Hashem, you'll bring Pesach next year. Please understand that every year there are going to be people who are going to be Tomei for Pesach. Because there are people who pass away all the time. And there's no rule that a person can't pass away out of Pesach. We know of some Yotzai that are out of Pesach. So if a Jew passed away never had of Pesach, and they had to do the Tahara with him, so those people will not be able to bring the Korban Pesach on time. So it's understood, so you'll bring it next year. And what are you screaming Lomo Nigora about? That's the Rebbe's question. Probably told you, have a friend who wanted from the Rebbe, I believe he wanted a shlichus from the Rebbe. And the Rebbe didn't give him. And happens to be a person with a very strong mind, with a very good mind. So he wrote the Rebbe a letter that my friends got shlichus and I didn't. And he writes in the letter, Lomo Nigora, how come the Rebbe is not giving me shlichus? Told me the story. I heard it from him personally. And the Rebbe answered him, that Lomo Nigoda is a taina al pitere. Let him ask Arov whether his taina of Lomo Nigoda is al pitere. So Lomo Nigoda is a very strong taina. And the Rebbe asks, what are you screaming Lomo Nigoda for? It's going to happen every year. Why? Because there are people who are going to pass away out of Pesach the day before that, and there will not be time for you to become, for anyone to become spiritually clean, especially those who take care of individuals, Chevel Kadisha. So if you can't bring the Korban Pesach today, you'll do it in Miyot Hashem next year. What are you screaming Lomo Nigoda about? And the Rebbe answers, you're absolutely right. It's not an intellectual taina. It's not an intellectual complaint. It's an emotional complaint. The emotional complaint was very strong. They saw that the Jewish people are bringing a korban, and they cannot be part of it. And they did not make the calculation that there is a reason. Yes, of course there is a reason, and they'll bring it next year. But they want to bring it this year. And what do we see? What do they gain? What they gain is they gained a special halacha, not only for themselves, but they didn't even ask for more. They only asked for themselves. And they only asked in a form that they did not do it deliberately. They became spiritually unclean because they did the right thing. They were Chevel Kadisha. They did the right thing. What about if the person who they got an answer for the person who deliberately didn't bring the Korban Pesach? Now he was lochem, he was bedarech lecheiko lochem. He said, my father and my mother, they're old-fashioned people. They're bringing the Korban Pesach. I had enough of that. I'm modern. I am going to leave. Not only that, I'm going to leave Eretz Yisrael completely. I'm going to go to a different country. And he leaves Eretz Yisrael, and he leaves his father and his mother and his God and his people. And he goes to a different country. And he spends Pesach under the sun. However good that is. After Pesach, he says to himself, what did I do? What did I do? So I was Pesach under the sun. But I gave up my father and my mother and my grandfather and my grandmother and my people and my country. What did I gain? Comes back and he wants to bring the Korban Pesach. Even to that person, lochem, he did it specially. It was not an accident. It was deliberate. Nevertheless, they gained an appropriation that is good for them, and for the person who deliberately did not bring the Korban Pesach, and not only for them, they say for all generations, because they cared. That's what the Rebbe says, because they cared. It bothered them. It bothered them how come they were not part of the Jewish people, although it's not an intellectual complaint, but it's an emotional complaint. And when emotion takes over, the intellect doesn't always work. So this was an emotional complaint of Lomo Nigoda, and they gained for themselves and for all generations. That's what happens when people really care for what's happening and they want to do the right thing. You waited so long, and you deserve a medal. So I'm going to tell you the story that we always tell, and the story has to do with the Sima Rambam of this year. A mind-boggling story. I heard it from the individual with whom it happened. There was one individual who, at this Sima Rambam, raffled off $2 of the Rebbe, one for men and one for women. A man won, a woman won. So he told the story of the man. We'll tell the story of the woman next week. Story of the man is he took the dollar and he went to bring it to the man who won the dollar. This year, before Erev Yud Aleph Nisan, there was the Sima Rambam, and he got $2 of the Rebbe, and he raffled off the $2. And a man, one for men, one for women. This is the story with the man. He went to see the man, he gives the man to give the man the dollar. And the man tells him a story, a personal story that happened to him. That he was learning Rambam every day. Last July, he had a stroke. A very severe stroke. He was incapacitated. And he stopped learning Rambam. The doctor asked him whether he continues his studies, his learning. He says he can't do it. And the doctor said to him that it's good for him, he should continue. So the man tells him the story, that he continued learning 3 Perakim Rambam a day. As soon as he continued learning 3 Perakim Rambam a day, he started feeling better. And the man who gave him the dollar says, I saw him. I saw him now. Now he's walking. He says, when you look at him now, you couldn't even tell that he had a stroke. But he started his recuperation, he says, when he started learning Rambam. And after that, he won the Rebbe's dollar on Siyum Rambam Hoyelomi. I heard the story from the individual who contributed the $2, one for men and one for women, and he personally delivered the Rebbe's dollar to the individual, and this is the story that he told him. Rabbi say there are many stories of people who were helped by learning Rambam. So therefore, this is the remedy for everyone. This is the Rebbe's Takone. When we sit down and we learn Rambam every night, the Rambam is there with us, and the Rebbe is there with us. And the Rebbe is giving us all the brachas that we need. Bebone chaye umzeine reviche. Bone means children, and the extension of children, not only having children, but nachas from children, and everything that comes with it, and children from children. And chaye means life, and the extension of life, good health. Umzeine reviche with great parnose. And the Rebbe always says of kulam reviche, that everything should be in a broad fashion, gesundheit und Fröhlichkeit. The Rebbe explains to us, in the name of the previous Rebbe, that Pesach Sheni means, es ist nicht talking verfallen. Nothing is lost, you always get a second chance. And the Rebbe explains that the first Pesach is for tzaddikim, the second Pesach is for Baalei Tshuva. Baalei Tshuva are those who missed. Nevertheless, they can make up for the time that they missed. Nothing is ever lost. You always get a second chance. We're all waiting for that great day, for the great day of Mashiach. And therefore, we need that second chance. In case we missed once, we try again, and God is going to be on our side. And as the Rebbe promised us, we are the last generation of Golus, the first generation of Geulah. And this is the first generation we're going to see Yemiyat Hashem with our very own eyes, with the last generation of Golus, and we're going to see with our very own eyes the coming of Mashiach, speedily, friends, in our very, very own days. ובעגולו דידנו, ושמחו ובטוב לבוב, ובטיב הנירה והניגלו, ולמטה מעשרות טפוחים, ובחסד וברחמים, ותקף, ומיד ממש.